Hi there, I'm here because I wrote a 400-page book about the government as a digital media maker. It has 70 pages of footnotes, but fortunately, it can be compressed into a relatively simple thesis. There's an inherent conflict between regulation and content creation, and that government agencies have an inherent anxiety about digital files because they can reach unintended audiences and be used for unimagined purposes. I also give awards, but not the kind that anyone here wants to win. They're called the Foleys, after disgraced Congressman Mark Foley, the one who sent those text messages to underage pages. And each year I try to recognize the very worst in government media making, particularly if it can get really embarrassing on the internet. After all, things like access and transparency sound really great until someone's found the location of nuclear materials, TSA manuals, or a lot of social security numbers thanks to your government website. What can you do about this? Not much, but here are a few tips. Number one, don't promise what you can't deliver. This diplomat from the State Department promised to look into the detention of a Chinese blogger. It turned out to be a really sensitive matter, and the tweet was even deleted. Don't pander, especially to children. Children go to government websites to do research about school reports. They don't go there to admire your cartoon characters. And besides, I'm from California. When I think safety, I don't think mountain lion. Here's another gem from the Department of Homeland Security. It's a Mad Lib. Again, children don't go to government websites because they want to play hangman or do mazes. They go there because they want to gather information for school reports. Don't get too far ahead of yourself. Building an embassy or an office in Second Life can be really cool, and it's a lot quieter than a real office or embassy. But you want to build things for the user of the present, not the user of the future. Posting images or videos can seem like it will resolve a controversy, but remember that images can be ambiguous, and there's a lot of ways that you can read them. Also, people might come there looking for conspiracies or clues in every detail. If you ask citizens to share their story, and then you don't seem to do anything special with the stories that they've shared with you, it encourages people to become cynical about user-generated content and the government's relationship to it. It's the internet. They're going to be hackers. You have to think about security, particularly when private information can go over unsecured networks. But there are also griefers, trolls, and spoilers that you have to think about. Half the people who came to this Library of Congress Flickr page said this was a hot babe. The other half said she was an actress and merely faking being a factory worker. On the other hand, don't assume that everyone is messing with you. Artists, activists, and others who protest government policies might have legitimate reasons that they create even parody websites that seem to criticize your content. They have a legitimate reason for wanting to exercise their political speech. And things like Photoshop are a form of political expression. Don't put in legalese that forbids it. And when we're talking about things not to do, please don't put copyright symbols on material that's really in the public domain. This is part of the government record. You're not the movie industry, you're not the recording industry, you don't need to copyright your material. I worry about the proliferation of government domain names in these days, and I think about all these little URLs, and I wonder who's going to take care of them in the future. I just think they're like orphan children, potentially. And think about how Web 2.0 companies have user agreements that really rewrite the social contract in fundamental ways, in ways that can violate privacy, in ways that can undermine free speech, and in ways that can undermine freedom of assembly. Remember, this is the government. It's not a brand. Calvin Klein is a brand. The Gap is a brand. USAID is not a brand. Represent something. And when you're thinking about the digital generation, remember that there are many kinds of people who are adopting new technologies. People of all ages, of all classes, and of many different kinds of backgrounds. That's the exciting thing about this new civic space. Don't rely on cliches, and check out my research and the work of my academic colleagues, and have a great time at Government 2.0. Thanks.